Okay, I'm going to tell you a bit about the sexual exploitation industry as I experienced it. Then I'm going to read a few poems from my book, Body Shell Girl, this one, which was published last year by Springflex Press. As mentioned, the book tells the story of my first 2 years in this industry, and all up I was in it for 10 years. Most of my experience was in Canada, where I was living at the time. I take the term sexual exploitation industry from the author Robert Jensen. I like it because it describes what sort of, quote, industry this is, and because it describes the range of things that I did. I spent less than 2 years of my 10 years in brothels and escort, which for most people would be clearly called prostitution. The rest of my time was in massage parlours and massage outfall, which was not where I worked, at least, so-called full service. This may seem like a point of irrelevant detail to some, but when I was doing it, these details certainly were very relevant to me. And I think it's important to register exactly what women, mostly overwhelmingly, in this industry are required to do with any man who shows up. The term also includes massage parlours, whereas when I was doing it, at least no one involved really considered massage parlours prostitution. In fact, people often think of them as a bit of a harmless joke. And so one thing I tried to do in my book was portray the specifics of massage parlours, as well as brothels and escort, and what that was like in my experience. I felt a lot of shame about this part of my life for a very long time, and I think it's also not so easy for other people to hear about. So thank you for being willing to listen. It was always a great mystery to me why I stayed in this industry as long as I did, how the process of my getting stuck in this industry happened. It was my initial motivation for writing my book, to try to answer that question for myself, because I felt like I really didn't know. I've spoken elsewhere about how I got started. Today I want to say that I was in a fairly average, typical part of the industry. There is two opposite ends of this industry that we seem to hear the most about in popular media, two extremes, and that is trafficked women on one end and the other, what I'll call the 1%ers of the industry. Regarding trafficked women, of course it's hugely important that these stories are heard and that we actively oppose trafficking. This is uncontroversial, however, in the sense that it's easy for most people to get behind being against trafficking. No one credible is openly going to come out in support of traffickers and the existence of trafficked women and girls. On the other hand, at the opposite extreme, we have the women who mainstream media outlets love to feature and support, the 1%ers of the industry. These are mostly women who, for example, have another source of income and are doing it as a sort of side hustle, and are therefore able to turn down jobs and pick and choose their jobs to a significant extent, and or are studying full postgraduate degrees. They also tend to be white, among other advantages. The dominance of such representations in popular media unfortunately leads most people who don't spend a lot of time thinking about this issue to conclude, well, that doesn't look so bad, and it looks like it's just some women's choice. So maybe we should all be good, progressive people and support that. Yet the truth is, the vast majority of women in this industry are not 1%ers, and nor are they trafficked. I was one of those women in this vast middle, and I argue that this vast middle is a trauma industry for women. Like pretty much all women who get into this industry, I did so because I needed money. While the details of what I was supposed to do in the massage parlour were new, there were aspects that were deeply familiar. For example, the ways in which it required me to ignore what I felt and to dissociate. This was deeply familiar, so much so that I thought, what's the big deal? In my mind, it wasn't a big deal for me to be subjected to abuse. In fact, back then, I didn't even register it as abuse. I believe the industry relies on women who have similar reactions because of past abuse. And a lot of women under patriarchy have just such past experience of abuse, of course. I arrived in the industry with trauma, then I experienced further trauma in the industry, then I internalised a lot of its messages, then I got stuck. It's taken me many years to understand that I was as effectively trapped in this industry as if I had been in a cage with bars. That's been a really hard thing for me to admit to myself. But my story is not unusual. As many trauma experts point out, a situation can be awful and feel familiar. It can be awful and feel like home, just like you're used to. Home doesn't have to be a good place for us to be pulled back to it over and over. And we will defend that awful home too, just like many people in other types of abuse situations will do. I've experienced domestic violence as well, and the defences I came up with about that at the time were very similar to what I came up with regarding the sexual exploitation industry back when I was in it. It's not that bad. It's just my body, not my soul. Sometimes he is nice. You even get the occasional gift. And one that was always a kicker for me, it's my fault anyway for not leaving. I'm going to read some poems I wrote about this industry now. The first poem may be confronting for some, as if it's something that might look like a sexual assault. Actually, it was just part of the job, which already says a lot about this quote, job. So if you need to slip out for that one, please do. It's about 2 to 3 minutes long. I'm just going to take a glass of drink of water. Yeah. Okay. This poem is from part 2 of the book, When I'm in a Brothel. It's called Rent Day. Good idea to wait until the child leaves. Okay. Rent Day. And only one thing he'll pay for. This man, balding, avuncular, the sort you could picture, aproned, barbecuing, while kids play in the pool. But it's me with his blue underwear around one ankle, like a soft cuff, and on the futon with smile like my usual. What he can take it to mean. He's hot, the situation is hot, how could it be other? On the futon with smile like, looking forward to this. On the futon with bile like, chartreuse and oxblood brown, wave breaks, the foaming disintegration. Throat sharp and spilled chemical catastrophe as he lowers his teeth. The front ones with the gap between, a sign of good fortune, I've been told. Or maybe I read it somewhere, maybe in one of that brothel's coffee table magazines. Focusing on details that lead to thought flights. Look for more. Where are they now? Get out, get out, get out. Okay then, frantic pop songs, frantic. Willing them to budge, the wall clock's frozen face. When will it end, when will it end, when will, please end, please end, please end, while I pretended to enjoy it. Sure, it wasn't convincing, but no one cares. I pause on that fact now, like I didn't then. How that's what I want you to enjoy it, okay, no question mark, means. Yeah, you want it, he says. Look how badly you want it. And yes, of course I do. Get him off means get him out. But his hand's pushing me back down, dragging it out, and he laughed, pretending. Yeah, you want me so bad. Please end, please end, please end. I mean, yes, and laughed, pretending. This next poem is a little bit later in the book, when I'm escorted in Toronto. I've become a more hardened sort of person at this stage, or at least I like people to believe. Money, some more points. 1. Once I put a stack of bills on the bed, smeared them around, rolled in them. Then I gathered them back up, recounted them. I didn't bother doing it naked. I was alone anyway. 2, the smell like refrigerators after rain, a soft fork to the ribs, or inflatable eyes breathing, a graspable weight like curtains or toast, to cradle in your palm, you got it, rent perfume. 3, the reason for a $100 8cm by 8cm change purse, for example. We do this shit for the cash, Maya said, but feel so bad about how we got it. We can't get rid of it fast enough. 4, savings, lol. 5, being broke, then my idea of not broke, an hour later. An adrenaline rush, as well as how easily, or if not that, then quickly, I wished other life problems could be solved. 6, the cash being the soothe, and if you did the job and got cheated out of your soothe, right now is when I needed something to make me feel better. Next time was too far away. The cash loss was also a warning. 7, if a guy was an asshole or stank, I'd try to charge him more, which is difficult in escort, but sometimes worked. If it did, I considered his assholery / stench paid for. 8, the range of things I considered viable / sellable. 9, men, also known as ATM, surprised, the dehumanised will dehumanize back. Or bitches, or to be dead bitches. 10, the back room of a takeaway chicken shop, the scuzzy couch in a night watchman's storeroom, the grimy rooming houses. These places felt worse than high-end hotels, even if the men were not always worse. 11, a cloud of filth floating, a mouthful of grit and lint, and you can't spit. The sense of shame stretching like dough, shame dough. That brings me to the last poem I had planned to read. The you referred to in this poem is the sexual services buyer. Why we are girls, or ladies sometimes, but everyone knows that's a bit funny. A girl is a wisp, a potato chip. Barely there, a girl drifts by the side of the road until you show up. Then she's happy to do whatever you want. More than that, she's waiting for the opportunity. Any time, any place, she's a good time girl. Your good time, that means. And when with you, the others don't exist. You don't have to love a girl, although you could pretend to if it gets you off, since that's the most important thing, always. And you can pretend so well you believe it. You can do whatever with whoever, but the girl only does it with you. This is true, even when it's obviously not true. See above, for pretending. You don't need to sell this fantasy to a girl. She's already been sold it and is ready to reflect it back to you, which doesn't mean she's bought it, or it could mean she has too. Cash or cash equivalents are involved, but you can pretend she'd do it for free, if she could. You even say that and she smiles and laughs, so you know it's true. You like that, don't you? You do not need to put a question mark on that. A girl always says yes, or smiles and laughs, which is the same as a yes, or squirms and looks like she doesn't want to be there. That just means she's shy. Bonus for you, and is a yes too. A girl is younger than you, no matter what age she is, although obviously it's better if she's actually younger. You are the boss, even as you like to tell her she is. Many of you preferred it that way. Tell her how empowering all this is for her. She loves it. A girl has no vital functions you need to know about. She's a roadside attraction with heart-shaped shades that reflect your image. Sucking on a red lollipop or awkward urchin type with acne and hand-me-downs. Plain, tepid, or refreshingly unadorned, yeah. A girl naturally just is whatever you want her to be. Amazing, right? Even when she's not, for those who like a bit of a challenge, or the troubled ones, the ones who need rescuing, or the ones who won't be rescued, the hopeless cases. They're so romantic, dead by the side of the road. You can fake mourn them. So that's all the poems I'm going to read for you today. You may have heard that Queensland is proposing decriminalising prostitution. I urge you all to oppose this and support the Nordic model. Instead, many of you will know about this model already. If you don't though, basically the Nordic model criminalises sex buyers and pimps, but not the women, mostly, selling sex. It makes the men who buy sex accountable. Additionally, it puts in place exit services for people, again, mostly women, who want them. I know I wish I had seen an exit service when I was in the industry. The Nordic Model Now website is a good source of information about that, as are other spring textbooks on the topic. And Caitlin there at Nordic Model WA. So if you want to know more about that, please see me afterwards or ask during the panel or ask Caitlin, Susan and Renata. And I know there will be others who are very knowledgeable about this as well. If you want to help oppose decriminalisation in Queensland, you can sign up for the WEEP email newsletter. WEEP is short for Women Ending Exploitation by Prostitution. It's one email per month, and the more subscribers there are in Queensland, the more obvious it is that there is opposition here to decriminalising this trauma industry. And I've got the email here for anyone who wants to sign up. And I think to finish up, one thing we can all do is refute this idea whenever and wherever we see it, that the sexual exploitation industry is a legitimate job, whether it's in media depictions or in conversations with people we know. We can point out what is the most common scenario for women in this industry. You can find many of our testimonies about this industry at the Nordic Model Now website. And Ali Marie Diamond, who spoke at the rally this morning, I think, has a website as well, which has these testimonies, among other resources. So I'm going to go over time, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so very much, Rose, our third and final speaker for today. Before you go, Rose, small thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the good women today for your voices. That concludes the speakers, but we'll be getting the panel